I always find it very hard to follow these two, to be honest, because when I hear their story, it makes me very humble, you know, that mine doesn't touch my imprisonment or anything, would never touch what they went through. And I do feel humble, and but we are what we are. They wanted a female to talk about female internment, and that's why I'm here.
I have to follow three, yes.
Unlike these two gentlemen here, I wasn't born into a Republican family at all. We had nothing to do with the Republican movement. There was nobody in our family that were in the IRA or had any Republicanism in it. But I suppose in 1969, with the Troubles and what I'd seen happening there at that time, that I felt that I couldn't just stand or sit on the fence and do nothing for the Irish people. So I reacted to what I seen more than having any knowledge of James Connolly, Patrick Pearse, or all that came behind me, you know. So I always say that I wasn't born a Republican, and my Republicanism was gained through probably going to prison and meeting great women of substance like Francie's mummy, Mary McGuigan, and Maura Drum, the real Maura Drum, as I would say. But, you know, women of that substance who you spoke to and who educated you into republicanism, that then you became stronger. I would have said I was an idealist, really, that I joined the only people that were out there who would protect Catholics and who were seen to be active defending their people. You know, I believe that most of the young people that joined the Republican movement in the 1970s onwards reacted to what they seen or what they experienced and how they were treated by the British Army and B specials. Imagine that's how old I am. The B specials were in operation in those days, and they were brutal people. And the British soldiers and all of that, and we actually thought they were coming to save us, and then, you know, it's all history what happened, you know. But I would say I joined the Republican movement for those reasons, you know. It was more to protect the nationalist people from the might of the British Army. And so I kind of joined Sinn Féin for my sins, and I joined Common Galini, which was, as he called the Fianna Boy Scouts. The Galini was like just the young women's movement of the Common Amon, and we didn't do much in that at that time, you know. Sold papers, Republican News, and all of that, and maybe collected money for prisoners and all of that, you know. But things sort of moved very quickly after that, and I suppose one could say I was a child soldier, really. But the first time I was arrested, the Brits came to our house. As usual, they always come at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I think that's intentional too, because people are at their most vulnerable at that stage of the morning. You wake up, you're cold, and you're kind of a wee bit in shock. And there was 4 of us in the house, my oldest sister Cllr, then Michael, then me, and then Eileen. I was 15, Eileen was 13, Michael was 19. So that's kind of, there was a couple of years between us all. And of course there were the Brits, they were in wrecked the place and whatever. And my younger sister is so funny. She was 13 at the time, and she says, they're going to take you, they're going to take you, I'll go with you. I'll go with you. I'll say I'm going with you. And I says, no problem, no problem. They took Michael, and then they took Eileen. And she was only 13, and she said to me, you're coming with me, you're coming with me. Here's me and I'm like, in a way. God love her. She was only a child, you know, being trailed out by the Brits into the back of the stars. And when I think back, you know, on that, although we thought we were big girls and brave and all that there, but, you know, I remember saying to her, you know, looking out the door, not, you'll be all right. I said to her, you shut your mouth, don't open your mouth, I'll kill you, you open your mouth, don't say, you know, anybody or anything and whatever. Like she was more scared of me, she'd say that, she was more scared of me because I was a wee bit,
was he the word you're looking for?
not heady mad as a hatter, I suppose. But anyway, then they came and they took me, and then we came back for Cllr. So the whole 4 of us, we were it was in the papers and all. I remember reading it and thinking, come on, for me, it's papers. because the whole family was arrested and were taken to Springfield Road Barracks. And at that time, they're very abusive, these Brits. I remember one of my legs, I don't know if anybody has a shaky leg, but my leg was going in the Saracen there and I had no control over it. I don't think it was fear, it was just going on its own and it minds out of its own, and they were making fun of me at the time, and I remember hitting my leg for shaking, because these bastards thought I was afraid of them. And I wasn't really, because I was kind of quite mad. And so we went down to Springfield Road Barracks, and Harry Taylor, I mean, he's a horrible man. And he came in, and I could hear my brother getting the crap beat out of him down the corridor, and I was very aggressive at that time, and said to him, if you lay a hand on my brother, if you hurt him, I'll shoot you the next time I see you out in the street. I was talking like that, it really was like, and Harry Taylor was sent for social services, and they were going to take me into Cllr. I was underage at the time, I was 15, and they were going to take me into Cllr, and Eileen as well, and our Marlene came down, God love her, they took me in, they were interrogating me all day, but I mean, they're not allowed to interrogate you without an adult there, but that's how they did these things in those days. They got away with murder, they got away with killing men to an inch of their lives, There was nobody out there crying out about this here. It's appalling, when you think back over the history of what people have went through here in this country. There's nobody is doing anything about it. It's airbrushing over what happened to us in reality. We are here to tell the story still, and you hear Kevin and Francie talking and Mickey there. I still feel that they can go right back to that moment in time when they were the hooded men, and how horrible was that there? I do be humbled when I don't know how they come through it, to be quite honest, but they did, as Francie said, the stubbornness of the Irishness is in with us all, But I remember they took my sister, come down, Marlene, she was 7 months pregnant. We lived next door to Granny Cahill, we called her, Joe Cahill's mum and dad, and she was hanging out the window with a lid of a pot, banging and screaming and shouting, they're taking that wee family away, and trying to get people out. But somebody went down and told Marlene, so she came down to Springfield Road Barracks, and Harry Taylor had said we're going to take Angela into Cllr because she's hanging about with undesirables and stuff like that, and here, I remember I was quite angry, I suppose one would say, and because I'd heard that they were killing our Michael down the corridor. You could hear him screaming and I just, I was just full of venom and anger. I remember that, and there was one of those, we called them military policemen, red caps, they called them coffee pots for some reason when they were talking about them over the mics. We need a coffee pot. I never understood that. I'd love to ask one, and why did they call military policemen coffee pots? It always interested me. But anyway, she was sitting on a table, chewing gum like a wee Millie, and all this here business. I was disgusted at her lack of manners and everything. And she was, honest to God, she was singing, that song, Reggae, Here Comes Johnny Reggae? And she sang that for an hour and a half. When our Marlene walked in that door, I thought, I'm going to get up. And she was saying, Angela, stop, they're going to take you into Cllr. You're underage, you're going to put you in social services coming down. I said, you better tell her to stop singing Johnny Reggae, I'm going to bust her. Whatever. Anyway, they released us, and that was that. And the Interned, Michael, that was in November 1971. And then the house started to create a lot then after that. And they took everything out of our house, all of our photograph albums, everything that there was, we have no photographs of us as children being born, 2-year-old, first communions, confirmations. There's none of that. And we didn't actually have the sense to know we should have asked for them back. Nobody advised you or guided you about these kind of things. We were quite naive, I suppose, in many ways. But I was out of the house then, I suppose, from I was 16, really, and staying with friends, let's say. And so I wasn't at home for a long time. And then they started to intern women. The internment of men started in 1971. the morning of internment, they arrested 342 men, but over the total of internment, it was 2,000 men were interned. 1,800 of them were Catholics, and 170 or something were Protestants. And the first Protestant wasn't interned until 1973. So it was all Catholics that were interned, you know. I think these were token Protestants that were interned in 1973. But it was...
Can I just say something on that?
Sure.
My prison number was 80 me, and I had a friend come in, Dermot Rounds.
And in the case, it was only one.
Well, I had a friend, a fellow by the name of Dermot Rounds, who's dead. He was arrested somewhere in around January. And Dermot's number would have been up.
Was Dermy second or third time back in? It was first time.
And he had been released anyway, and as time moved on, we called it redacted. He was brought back to India. And on his arrival, just before internment ended, he was given the prison number of 7,000 and something.
Yeah.
Just got put on the finger. That meant that in actual fact, over the duration of internment, there were 7,041 men
And then out.
and come through the prison, through that circle. Sorry for
That number would have included 7 million people back in the second. But some lads were interned 2 and 3 occasions, like released, re-interned, released, re-interned again.
And if you take it from, that's 75, if you take that from there to now,
What's the numbers?
but any road, sorry.
No worries. As I say, women were, they started to intern women in January 1973. In total there was 35 women interned, but I was arrested, I was the 6th girl interned at that time, 17 years of age, and I had been staying in this safe house and wasn't so safe after all, but I was staying with a girl and she had 2 wee babies, and you know, one was a wee toddler, maybe 18 months or something, and the other one was just a little baby in her arms. And they kicked the door in and run up the stairs, and while she was going down the stairs carrying her baby in her arms, they tried to trip her up so that she would fall with the baby and all the rest of it, you know. There was a lot going on in the house at that time, and the Brits were actually, one of them used the term, "I'd love to stick this rifle up her fanny," to the baby. And that's an awful crude word, and I'm only using it because it was actually what he said at the time, you know. And they arrested us all. They took me, her and her 2 babies in the back of a Saracen, and they brought me to Town Hall Street. Now, at this stage, I wasn't aware if she got out or not, you know, but since learned that they let her and the babies out a couple of hours later. But they took me to Town Hall Street and interrogated me. I was held there for maybe 90 hours before I actually was served with the detention order, interrogated by another well-known special branch man, Samuel George McKinney, who threatened to rape me and would have came in the middle of the night and knocked the door, and you know, we didn't sleep because we were we were given lessons on how to resist interrogation. So I suppose in many ways, you know, you were kind of expecting a lot of these things, you know, although, you know, you are only 17 at the time, you know, and you think you're a lot harder than you are, you know, in many ways, but I was a kind of cheeky bitch, there's no doubt about it, and they didn't frighten me, they didn't, I can say that honestly, but you did go through it. But I remember that my brother, who had since been released for internment, was in a second time on a charge after it was 90 days, and or 90 hours, sorry, and I knew that he was going to court that day, and I thought, I wonder when I see him and whatever. And it's funny because you're so tough going through all of the interrogation when they're showing you photographs of volunteers that you knew, and people getting scraped up into black bags and bomb victims and stuff like this here, and you know, looking through all of that with you, and this all part that kind of break you. They actually made me go on an identity parade to see this cop who says that I'd shot him, and then when he seen me, he didn't pick me out in the parade, in the identity parade, you know, and we're raging at that because he says we could have had her there on a charge. So then I think they decided that they would intern me at that stage. So I was looking out the keyhole in Town Hall Street cells, and I was facing the gents' toilet, so I kind of didn't want to stand there because it seemed a bit perverse, really. But I was kind of looking out, and I actually did see the toilet. They had just been brought down from the road, and I shouted out. And I often say to more of the girls, like, I'm such a hard woman, if you like. Yet when I looked out and seen him, I just called his name, Michael, Michael, you know, and hear you, who's that? Who's that? And you couldn't see because it's only a wee spine. So I'm standing back like this, so as he could see my full face. And I says, it's me. I just burst out crying, I remember, feeling like an idiot, you know, because it's only when I seen him, somebody you love, you know, that kind of way you're, for 90 hours, you're like this big, and then when you see someone you love, you just fold, you know, and he was raging. He, of course, went into the court and told the judge that his young sister was facing the gents' toilets and all this here, and they come out and move me. But there was a good cop, actually, believe it or not, down there called George, and he thought that they'd got the wrong woman and that I would be released, and they'd made a mistake. I was such a nice person, and all of that. So he actually put me in a cell facing my brother, and we lay on our stomachs because there was bars at the bottom about 6 inches, and you could sort of talk to each other, you know, while I went to Armagh, he went back to the Crumb. It's a bit sad, you know, but anyway, it is what it is, you know. They hand you a sheet of paper like this, you know, brought it with you, so just downloaded it coming, and that's just an interim custody order, what they say, and it says that the person aforesaid shall not be detained under this order for more than 28 days unless his case is referred to a commissioner, and then they give you another one to say your case is referred to a commissioner. So I was taken from there up to Armagh jail. They didn't actually have a prison or a space for female internees. So what they did is to put us in with the sentenced political prisoners, which was great because, like the lads, you go in there, you know, all their faces, you know, girls, and, you know, you're among friends, you'll be taken care of, you know, they're going to give you fresh clothing and underwear and stuff like that, and you can get your hair brushed and clean your teeth and all of those things that are kind of important to you at that time, you know. And they are all there to welcome you, which is a wonderful, wonderful comradeship. You know, you feel instantly that you're in a safe place, even though you're in jail. You're in a safe place among friends, and they will take care of you, you know. In Armagh prison, as I say, we had our own company in there. It was a company in Armagh jail, and we had our own army structures within the prison, of OCs, adjutant, and all of the staff and of the unit within the prison, if you like, and it was very, very well organised because really we had political status, so therefore our OC, Eileen Hickey, would have been the one dealing directly with the prison service, the governors and all prison officers and whatever. We looked after our own wing, cleaning it, our own cells, cleaning it. We had our cell inspection every morning, 10 o'clock. And all of that, but there was great comradeship within the prison, and you had, you know, you could borrow all of the clothes of all of the girls within the prison if you would go down and visit, especially if you had somebody nice coming up to see you, like a meal, and you know, would drown everybody's wardrobe and pick, you know. So it was dead funny things like that, but great sense of comradeship. The sad thing about it was that if you heard any footsteps late at night, again, you thought it's so out of the ordinary. It would be bad news, and everybody, because the trouble in the early 70s, as we're all aware of, was every day there was bombings and shootings and people getting killed and whatever, and so if you heard the footsteps coming up at night, you were wondering, that's not good, you know. And you used to go to Eileen Hickey's and go in and talk to her, and then she would have accompanied the governor or whoever was on duty to that person's cell and tell them the bad news, and